Reflecting on our wounds and how others have wounded us in the past based off our conditioning and how we're going to live an integrated, authentic life is really the encapsulation of one of the big energies of the week of July 27th through August 2nd of this year, which is Chiron going retrograde on July 30th. This is a very, very important, significant transit going on, but there's other transits for the week that are going on. And in this video, I'm going to break it down for you. My name is Everett Curdy, and welcome to my channel. I produce general astrology videos and weekly astrology videos, and also short little videos of imaginative astrology, where I take astrology and I talk about it, I explain it, but then I also embellish it and make it my own. So if you're interested, please subscribe and do all the things. I really appreciate that. So talking about this week, it is a quieter week. Last week we had the sun and moon making aspects to outer planets and air and fire signs at the very beginning of their respective signs. In this week, we don't have as much going on, but we still have very significant events happening. And the first one is Chiron going retrograde. It will station retrograde at 27 degrees of Aries. I believe that Chiron has not been here in, I want to say 50 years, so it's a new degree, it's a new territory. Chiron is finishing up its stay in Aries, and I believe that in 2027 it will move into Taurus. So we still have another year or a little bit over a year of Chiron in Aries. So Chiron is between Saturn and Uranus. It lies in the middle of that, so embodies the restrictive, very conventional, the very karmic energy of Saturn, but then also the wild card energy, the revolutionizing energy, the freedom-loving planet of Uranus. So any retrograde invites us to go within. Any retrograde invites us to retrace our steps and review and reflect on how we are going. It's kind of the universe giving us a chill pill and a sort of a life review of how we have grown and what we have done during that planet um, crossing the shadow zone before turning retrograde and then going back and then rewalking that path again. So we're especially pulled inward now. Aries is the sign that Chiron is in. And so Aries is the spark of fire. It's the first sign of the zodiac. It gets everything moving. It gets the ball rolling for everything else to come after it. Because Aries is cardinal fire, it initiates, it starts, it leads, it does all those kind of things. So we need that energy in our world. So you're being called to reflect on your inner flame, your inner fire, your inner desires, your inner motivations and dreams and goals for what you want to manifest in your life. You have more bravery and will to live. This will be illuminated during this Chiron retrograde. Is how willing are you to keep on living? How is the status quo of your life that you're reviewing at this time? Now, Chiron is going to go direct on January 2nd of next year. So we have a good 5 to 6 months of Chiron retrograde that we have to deal with. So Chiron is about linking the personal with the transpersonal. It's about taking what we learn and looking at its wisdom, looking at the lessons of what we have learned and gained in our life experience. So what are the lessons that we have learned and integrated, and what is the wisdom? What is the message? What is the meaning of all those lessons? This is what we're being called to move into now. Aries deals with our will, forcing our will on things, taking action, and it also deals with our instinct, because it is primal fire. So we are really, really putting a lot of attention on our drive and desires. How are we driven? In what ways are we driven to succeed or, to do whatever? And are we fulfilling a life that is in alignment with our desires? So there is a sovereign choice that we must make to live a life that is truly 100% on a soul level, which is for our highest good, that is authentic to us. That's very, very important at this time. Aries deals with the part of us that is unconditioned by our family members, by authority figures in our lives, by elders in our lives, by role models. That conditioning, there is aspects of conditioning that is very positive, like when you're playing in the sandbox, share your toys. But then there's other aspects that life is hard, life is unfair. You have to work in order to be successful or whatever. Um, that kind of conditioning is where we can get caught in Avalon, left brain, bike rack, um, leaving behind our intuition, leaving behind our soul and what it craves on a deep level. So Aries is a part of us that is just itself. It's just who it is without conditions put on it. Now, burnout can happen if we're overworking, if we have so much fire and we're working so hard, we're being a workaholic, we can have burnout. We can also there was an astrologer that I was watching saying that sometimes you can express the shadow side of the opposite sign that your sun is in. So if it's Aries, it would be people pleasing. It would be being overly accommodating and compromising, because that's Libra's domain. Now, Aries is an energy that can be independent and also defensive. It wants to be sovereign. It wants to run its own life. And so this is about using our wounds as a source of healing, finding the power in our wounds. If you're speaking any big truth at this time that may shock and may make people uncomfortable, speak it with care, speak it with tact, speak it with consciousness and awareness, and be tender about it. So, who do you want to become? What has your soul signed up for you to become in this life? Now, another piece of this is you may find that you feel very restless during this time period because Aries is a very restless energy. Now, before you take action, before you act out of impulse, it is so incredibly important to pause and reflect and really contemplate your actions and check in with yourself to see if they feel right for you. I'll give you an example. I was pulling Oracle cards and starting an addiction of Oracle abuse when a part of me felt content without doing it, but then another part of me fed the addiction of keeping pulling cards. It can be something as small as that. So does it feel right? Or is a fear and insecurity taking over for you in your life when you're being asked to move in a certain direction by that fear, by that insecurity, and it doesn't feel right? Do the things that feel right, that feel secure, that feel intuitively correct for you. It's also important to look at the messages and the meanings for what your desires and anger are trying to tell you. So, what are they trying to guide you and teach you at this time? It's very important to look at. Psycho listening is also very important. Tuning out all the noise, just stop talking and listen, really tune in. Now, Chiron is the wound healer, and it's not about healing the wound, it's about integrating it and making peace with it and learning from it. And so when we integrate the wound, we become more whole, we become more authentic. So are we willing to accept our wounds and open to the wisdom contained in them? That's our big question. So Chiron wants us to find the wisdom within our wounds, as well as becoming empowered when facing our wounds. It's also very important. Wounds are not things that you have to fix, that you have to change or make different or rebuild or whatever the term is. They are there to be integrated and learned from. So Chiron retrograde in Aries gives us the strength, bravery, and confidence when it comes to facing our wounds and seeing the potentials that those wounds have. And so this is really what we're being invited and called into. Now, our wounds can be a source of inspiration and motivation to us if we're mindful of them. And wounds are painful, and that's okay if we're stuck and we're so absorbed into the pain of them. You know, we all fall asleep at the wheel at some states, but it's about recognizing that those wounds are the wounds that your soul signed up to have going on in your inside yourself to feel, to heal, to integrate. The suffering can lead to us to our destiny. That pain, that hard work, that healing of our wounds, that integrating and making peace with it can lead us to our destiny. This is really about reflecting on the lessons that your wounds have taught you. What are those lessons? Sit with your wounds and release judgments about them. That is the really big thing. Um, is to really just allow them to have a seat at the table, allow them to be there, and surrender your judgments toward them. So Chiron can represent the wounds that we came into life with and also the wounds from our conditioning. Or life experience. And maybe the wound is not meant to be fully healed, fully removed. It is meant to be integrated. We need to move through and reflect on our wounds and discover the gifts of our wounds. Reflect and take a deeper look at your wounds during this retrograde period. Acknowledge and rise up from your wounds. Understand that your wounds are part of who we uniquely are. Our makeup, our design is made up of our wounds. They were a part of us, and stop shaming them and wanting to cut that part off. Again, make it step into wholeness. They are part of us and they shape us into who we are. Find the strength of your wounds and unlock the gifts and talents within them. Now, that's one astrological event going on for this week. The other really big news this week is that Venus changes sign. Venus is our planet of love, our planet of beauty. It's also known as the planet of peace. It is entering Cancer on July 30th, and it will stay in Cancer until August 25th. That is the day that Mercury leaves the post-retrograde shadow after turning direct on August 11th. It's going to continue to move forward. On August 25th, it's going to hit 15 degrees of Leo, and it's going to move on forward from that point. So this Venus in Cancer energy is nurturing. It wants to nurture, it wants to take care of others, it wants to protect others with the love for others, and it's also very cautious. It's not one to just go forward and head first into something. It sort of veers around it because it's sort of afraid, sizing it up, thinking of the best action emotionally. So, what are your emotional attachments? And can you be health uh, attached emotionally in a healthy way and not a clingy negative way? Can you be tenderly attached to those attachments? Now, Cancerian love is very loyal, very committed, and very tender. That's that quality. Then this can present us the opportunity to nurture others in our relationships. It's a very, very strong signature in this. We may feel more affectionate during this time, and we may want to make our loved ones feel safe and secure. Anything dealing with home and family, because our values are put more on our home and family environment at this time because Venus is our values. So putting more attention on that, putting more focus on that is really calling for this time. And we need to embrace our feminine side as well. And if any emotions come, be it positive or negative, if you're feeling sad, angry, or scared, or insecure, or guilty, ride the waves of those emotions. Ride those emotional waves and be willing to do so. This is about cultivating our intuition. And it's good to feel a need and feel a strong desire for valuable people in your life, very important people in your life to be close to you emotionally. Yeah, the very next day on July 31st is the Sun conjunct Mercury, or the Sun-Mercury Cazimi, as it's called. And a planet Cazimi is in the heart of the Sun. It is conjunct the Sun. And this marks the midpoint of the Mercury retrograde cycle, spanning from all the way back to June 30th, when Mercury entered shadow, entered 4 degrees of Leo on June 30th. It continued to travel until July 18th. Station retrograde at 15 degrees of Leo. It's now moving retrograde back. It will station direct on August 11th of this year, 4 degrees. It'll keep going forward. And as I mentioned earlier, on August 25th, it will end the post-retrograde shadow. But this is the midpoint. And Sun Mercury Cathemis bring clarity, particularly around Mercury retrograde. They bring clarity that we haven't known or seen before, mental clarity, intellectual clarity. So this Kazemi occurs at 9 degrees of Leo. And the sun is at domicile in Leo. And Mercury, um, well, hand movements. So the spotlight is on you this time, especially with the sun in Leo. This is about speaking from your heart, persuading others, leading others intellectually, um, motivating others to get on your side when it comes to the ideas that you want to implement in your life and the ideas that you use to persuade others to be on your side. This is wonderful energy for teaching because your thinking is very filled with hope and creativity. You may feel more confident in your communication. That's also because Leo deals with self-confidence, believing in yourself. And that's on the intellectual level, you could be more confident when it comes to that. Now, this is good energy to engage with friends because your communication style will be more diplomatic. It'll be more peacemaking, more inspiring, and genuine. And you may find that you're genuinely interested in those around you. Like you want to get to know the lives and stories of those around you. Like you want to understand those around you at a deeper level. You may find that communication may be amplified at this time. This is good for thinking and communication. Short distance travel is also highlighted because that's another Gemini thing. You may find that you're more adaptable and just more genuinely curious about life in general. And this is also good energy for meeting people and having conversations with them. So then, August 1st, the next day, we have several things going on August 1st. We have two squares, one lunation. So the first square is between Venus at 1 degree of Cancer and Saturn at 1 degree of Aries. So this is a square. So Venus squares Saturn, the benefic versus the greater malefic. So, this could bring about stress. Saturn is restriction, it's limitations, it is constraints. And so this could bring about stress in your love life because of delays and aloofness. There may not be the spark or the tenderness or the emotional connection between you and a partner, where that person may be like a wall or like very detached and cut off, or there could be delays in relationship. There may be hindrances because of your fear and because of your judgment for yourself and others. So it's good to spend some time alone, but not so that you ignore the care and love of others. Spending alone time is very, very important for us to self-care, replenish, and nurture ourselves, which is very, very important. We also want to balance that with our connections with others. You may be feeling lonely and depressed at this time. Um, and if there is any work in your relationships that has to be done, be willing to roll up your sleeves, pull up your bootstraps, and do that work. Face challenges from others. That is big. When you face challenges, when you honor these challenges, that can be very, very big turning point for you. In relationships, there may be restrictions and limitations. There may be heartbreak and disappointment that can come about for you at this time in relationships also. And so you may be very discerning about the relationships and the connections that you form at this time, about the ties that you bond with, because um you may get involved with a relationship where the partner's values are so very different than your own, and you're disappointed because of that. So be mindful of that. There may be also consequences of overspending, overusing your credit card, um, which can be eliminated at this time for you now. About Saturn is discipline, is practicality. And so if you have been overspending, if you've been not mindfully spending your money, that could get, because Venus rules over money and values. So that could get, looked at this time. Now, another big aspect happening today is the first quarter moon in Scorpio at 9 degrees of Scorpio. The sun is in Leo at 9 degrees. The moon is in Scorpio at 9 degrees. So what you want to do is this is the um second um wait a second. It is the second event from, am I getting this right? I'm not gonna um judge on that. Oh yeah, I remember what I was going to say. Um So you want to think back. I was thinking August, but it's actually November. You want to think back to November 1st of last year, because that day you were setting intentions on that new moon. This began this lunar family. So you were setting intentions on death, on rebirth, on transformation, on all those Scorpio areas. You were planting your seeds of intention. And now we can really, really look at the checkpoint of how that's working out for you, how your seeds of intention and what is not working, and evaluating that and reevaluating that because Mercury is retrograde. This fourth quarter moon is between Leo and Scorpio. And so Leo is very outward, very expressive. Scorpio is very introverted and wanting to be secretive. This first quarter moon is making a square to Mercury. The moon is square Mercury. What does this mean? Well, we may feel more opinionated. This could bring a sense of being opinionated, not really caring what others think at the same level. You don't want to preach and tell others how to think or act. Um, it's very important at this time to internalize your emotions. This is not the best energy to express your emotions. Your intellect, your mind, your mental voice that's going on can strongly affect your feelings. That's really, really huge. This is also good for getting chores done at home and doing hard mental work. So anything that has to be done in your house, anything which requires your mind to be in it, to be motivated, like anything involving attention to detail or any hard work, it's good to do that at this time. Don't rely too heavily on your logical mind, because you will miss the intuition from your miss the signs from your intuition if you do this. But also don't rely too heavily on your emotions because you may miss the facts. You may miss the logic. So you do want to balance these two things out. Um, adjust your thinking and perceptions. That's huge for this at this time. You may view life through an extremely sensitive lens at this time. Um, finances might go wonky on you as well as plans to be together with family and friends. Mercury is retrograde, stuff happens. Um, shirt hits the fan. Um, and where you can really recognize that there may be challenges in your relationships with families and friends. There may be miscommunications in those relationships. If you're signing any financial contracts, not the energy for that. You do want to wait till August 11th or after that point to sign any new contracts because you might very well miss very, very big details, very important details. So if there's an important contract that comes about in your life, hold off until the clarity, until Mercury is functioning back as its normal self and where it's being itself, where it's active, where it's awake, I want to say. But Mercury is sort of going into hibernation when it goes retrograde. So you do want to be mindful of that, about not doing anything hugely detail oriented that is for your long-term goals at this period of time. Now, this first quarter moon is also making a beautiful harmonious trine to Jupiter in the sign of Cancer at 9 degrees. Um, well, maybe Jupiter's not at 9 degrees. I'm not exactly sure about that. But anyway, this is good for any kind of recreational activity, any leisure activity. You may be feeling more creative, like you want to dance or paint or do pottery, whatever. Imaginative and intuitive. You want to bring more comfort to your relationships. You want to bring more nurture. Jupiter's in Cancer right now. It's good to enlist the help of famous people to help and support you. Women can also be very supportive to you at this time. There may be a renewed faith and optimism in humanity as a whole. This is good for charitable work and promoting that for that matter. Um, hey, it's good to hang out with friends and loved ones. Spend time with them, spend quality time with them, because of the very social energy. And you may have a desire to nurture um, others as well in your life, which when you nurture others, it could be very well received. Now, another aspect going on, the very last thing that I just want to talk about real quick is that Saturn and Neptune are conjunct right now. And so that means that Venus is at the very beginning of Cancer. That means that Venus squares Saturn and Venus also is going to square Neptune. And today is the day where this happens. On the same day, we have two Venus aspects. So Venus squared Neptune could find us feeling very insecure, being very unsure um, about our appearance. We may be feeling very insecure about how others look at us, being caught in self-judgment. We may be deceiving ourselves like we're one way and we are one way, but then we actually are a different way. Um, feeling uncomfortable, feeling insecure. Maybe telling yourself lies about your appearance, deceiving yourself when it comes to that. Now, trust should be earned. So it may be hard to trust other people and to be very discerning about who you place your trust in. Um, Mercury is retrograde, Venus is square Neptune, not a good time for huge relationship commitments. You want to wait till after August 1st to take the next step into that big commitment and then really launch it forward when Mercury goes direct on August 11th. You may feel very insecure about yourself and not having discipline, um, which does not make this a good time for socializing or uh, oh, not a good time for partying. And you may more easily give in to your addictions at this time. Um, you may confuse your intentions about your partner. You may over idealize someone only to find out that they are not who they say that they are. This is a very, very big deal. So seeing somebody for who they are is really important. Be very aware of projecting your own needs onto others. This is very, very huge. Don't fall prey to escapism, come back to reality, secure your finances, and if you sell something during this time, it may not be as profitable, it may not make as much money coming back to you. It may be of low grade value. So be mindful of that. That is your astrology for the week of July 27th. As I said, like this video, subscribe, do all of the things that you can do on these videos. And I will see you in the next video, which will begin this series if you're watching this on the day that this is getting published. My next video coming out a day or a couple of days later will be on the planet Mercury and astrology and its astrological meaning and what it's all about. That will be the introduction to a whole series of videos I will do on Mercury through all 12 signs. So stay tuned to that. Bye for now.